Catus, Maximus here, this time with a quick review of these Bosch cam lock style or tapered ramp style 1/4 inch dry bit extensions. We got a 12-inch and a 6-inch here. They're kind of pricey. It's about 20 bucks for the pair of these. And they call these the Bosch DareDevil. I did a little bit of research on these. Turns out that these are actually essentially a rebrand of a Insty-Bit extension holder. These are patented, and I looked up that patent because I was a little curious about that. And actually in the early 2000s, this holder was actually designed and patented. So even with weird and simple mechanical designs, things like 1/4 inch dry bit holders, having a new patent design in the 2000s is pretty recent. So it just goes to show you that maybe there are different avenues. Sorry about my hands there. It's too much sanitizer and cleaning. So these are pretty excellent. I like the fit and the finish. And the big deal about these is they have 3 ball bearings and slots. And they ride in, they are angled and they are tapered. And then this little collar pushes up on the bottom of the ball bearing. So what that allows these to do is to be easy, push in with actually very low pressure because they're ball bearings. But then this collar is pushing them into a ramp. So if the bit tries to pull out, it grabs harder. And it doesn't want to get loose because this spring-loaded collar is, of course, always pushing the balls up. But as soon as you release the collar, just isn't any tension, the bit just comes right out. These do not have integrated magnets. But what they do have is an extremely small head. The size of this head here, let me show you, is just under 5/8 of an inch. If I get across here like so, we can see that 609. So that's 15 thousandths below 5/8 as far as the metric size. That would be just under 16 millimeters here, 15.5 millimeters. Which of course means that the heads of these will fit in a 5/8 hole freely. So that's actually pretty darn small. And then these also have some real distinct advantages. Just so many of these bit holders are like these. Say this is the Harbor Freight Bauer and Hercules ones, which are pretty nice, except for the ball bearings are held in right at the top by this aluminum collar. So obviously that's going to get pounded out. Another similar type of design would be like these Irwins here. But the big difference with these Irwins is they're just a heck of a lot more stiff to use, and they tend to want to get jammed. Now, it's hard to show inside the Bosch, but in this Irwin here, you can see those 3 little jaws, and they're actually connected to the collar. And it appears that now that I have these Bosches or Insty-Bits, Irwin made this design to try to get around this particular patent, which is actually still valid today. You can see just how much smaller it is. The problem with the Irwins, and I've actually experienced it a couple times now, is they tend to want to get just a bit jammed up, and you really got to yank on the collar or tap on the bit to get it out. These have actually been pretty good. We'll do a little demonstration in a second here. I did want to show another area where they really shine, which is just super high tolerances. I should mention that the whole front end of this is steel. So this is a steel collar, and it is pressed on. I mean, it's just full diameter. The ramps start right here at the bottom, so it's just lots of reinforcing. So that's how they get it so small. And then all the forces of the ball bearings, or trying to force the ball bearings out against, are being held by a piece of steel, not by a piece of aluminum. The piece of aluminum just allows it to press in the back of the balls. Because they're able to move the collar behind the chuck, it allows it to maintain a very small diameter, and it's actually just super short. These are just so super compact. I wanted to mention like tolerances. Say if we do use this Hercules here, we can see on this bit, it works out okay. That's about standard for the fitment, but there's a bit of wobble in there. These are a little bit weird to use. If we do the same thing with the Irwin here, I'm just going to do a couple examples. The Irwin's a little bit better. It's actually a bit tighter, but there's still quite a bit of wobble in there. And so the whole point to demonstrating this is the fact of how tight these things are. They really machine these really super tight. So if I put that in there, I mean, you basically can't see any wobble. Let me actually use a longer 6-inch bit that even has some wear in the shank there, and this is amazing. If I can get the camera to cooperate, there we go. You can see the end of that bit. These are, quite frankly, some of the very tightest quarter-inch drive, hex drive adapters I've ever experienced. So that's a real joy. They're selling these as DareDevil, so what they are is not just, they sell them as universal, but I can see when you're using quarter-inch shank spade bits through an extension, having it be much tighter is going to give you a much better experience. Actually, let me drive it just a couple of screws. They are pretty darn straight. There's a little bit of wobble in the 12-inch, and I'll show that here, and then we'll get back to some of the advantage or some of the other aspects I like about these. All right, we have everybody's favorite block of wood here, and what I mean by wobbles, I guess there's a little bit, but it is not bad. I mean, I'm shaking a little bit, but you can see that this 12-inch extension really is, I should give it credit, it really is just pretty darn straight. So one of the big advantages of having it be just so straight is it's so much easier to get fasteners started, and you don't have issues with things wobbling around, it's particularly if you're stuck with like Phillips head screws. These aren't Phillips, but I hope the little demonstration here, I hope you're able to see just how straight this thing actually does run. Super straight. So as we can see there, this 12-inch one actually was pretty straight. Actually a little bit straighter than I gave it credit for earlier. Just trying it out, I must have not had it in the chuck just totally straight. That just makes a big difference when you're not feeling that periodic wobble or anything. Really surprising. So some of the other advantages besides just the tolerances, how compact they are, how easy it is to really use these. It just doesn't take hardly any pressure just to pop the bit in there. Really pretty nice and just super easy to pull the collar because the collar isn't jamming up. All it is just pushing on the bottom of these 3 ball bearings. And I like that aspect a lot too, that it is secured by 3 elements rather than just say 1 or 2. It makes it totally compatible with all the little short base bits. No problem there. Makes it compatible with these weird little double-ended 1-inch bits. Absolutely no problem. And what I thought was pretty unique, which is even better than this Irwin, the way this Irwin uses fingers, they just don't pinch quite as hard. And then they kind of get jammed up. It kind of works with these odd double-ended bits, which are, you know, full hex, and they just machine it. On these Irwins, it still can be kind of yanked out. What is surprising about these roller cam is this style is really, really effective. And I can put this little bit in there, and it is just totally locked up in there solid. Absolutely will not come out. And it's just a little bip, and it just releases nice and easy. So anyway, that was my little review of these Bosch DareDevil Quick Change Universal quarter-inch drive extensions. And actually, I think they are definitely pretty cool. If you want to support the original manufacturer, you can always buy these and many other accessories from Insty-Bit. Or you can just go to like the orange box where I found these and pick up the Bosches. But I think these are actually pretty competitive compared to all the Milwaukees and all the other extensions out there. These actually have a very interesting chuck design where it's just all steel, super secure, works with just any piece of quarter-inch steel that you can get in there. They're straight, and the heads are just really compact, and it seems like a design that actually will last quite a while and not just have bits that always get locked up in there. Whenever you have a lot of wear on any type of cam lock system, there's going to be wear in the tracks. And so you may have a little bit of issues after you use these where you may have to tap the end of the bit, and I could certainly see that happening. But overall, these things just work really smooth. And I see why Bosch went for these, just because it's a competitive design. I really like these quite a bit, and I'll provide a future update on if I have anything come up, but I really don't think I will. Mainly because the way these chucks work, it's actually a genius little bit of engineering. The one comment is they should have just integrated a magnet, even if it made this little collar a bit longer or something. That would be fine. People are more wary of the diameter of these things than they are, you know, how tall up the shank it goes. It just means that it's easier to get into tighter spaces. You can get closer to the edges of things, and it's just not blocking your view quite as much. So anyway, that was my little review of these Bosch DareDevil rebanded Insty-Bit extensions. And I'll include this patent number also in the description so you can look it up, because there's quite a few. There's about 8 different diagrams that are submitted with it, cutaways. So it'll give you a much better idea of exactly how the internals of this work. But I think Bosch is really onto something. These very well could turn out to be some of the best extensions that are really out there. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed to the Catus Maximus channel, please do consider subscribing. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.